Hello.
Thank you,
Hi.
everyone. We're excited to be here. Thank you for joining me today. And I wanted to kick it off to give some context to the audience. And Don, I'm going to ask you a question. What is the relationship and the partnership between Qualcomm and Cadillac?
Great question. Well, actually, it's an evolving and a fairly new partnership. We have a really broad partnership with General Motors as GM and brands like Cadillac digitally transform their products, right, to meet this new demand in an EV world, in a driver's assisted world. Cars are becoming these computers on wheels. They need technology, and they need technology partners to help deliver on experiences in great new vehicles like the Lyric that just launched. So we're the company that helps provide that foundation and those platforms that then Cadillac can build amazing experiences on top of. So it's a fairly new type of relationship. Technology company that's fairly known for semiconductors and chips and smartphones and other devices, now sort of permeating the software-defined vehicle. And so it's exciting because we're learning a lot about each other, and we're learning how we can, as the MC said, intersect, and how we can help each other in telling these new stories as the Cadillac brand, right, evolves, and as actually from a Snapdragon perspective, how we're evolving outside of our historic categories into new categories.
I think it's very exciting. And what I like about our conversation today is that both of your brands, Qualcomm and Cadillac, have been leaders, right, in the rapid acceleration of technology. And on that topic, I wanted to understand from you, right, you've been able to lead the charge in auto and tech transformation. So how has it shifted the way you think about your brand over time? And we'll kick it off with you, Marcie.
Yeah, I mean, we're an old brand, right? We're over 120 years. And I think what people know of Cadillac, they all have a story. My grandpa, my uncle, there's some success story that's tied to a Cadillac ownership experience. And as technology is expanding what we can do and what we can offer to our consumers, I think it's really important from us on the marketing side to ensure that we're almost retraining people of what they know about Cadillac and what they can expect moving forward in the future, because we are not the Cadillac of yesterday. We're very much leading the charge in a lot of different areas with regard to the EV vehicle space.
And what about you, Don?
Yeah, so it's interesting to see the parallels. Obviously, we're not 120 years young.
We look
the
good for
Cadillac
120
You look
years.
fantastic for
Yeah.
120 years.
Yeah.
Qualcomm's been around for 35 years, and really started with the mobile revolution, right? With the smartphone becoming the biggest, right, consumer electronics device in the history of the planet. And next to your most loved one's person in your life, the smartphone is your next thing that you wouldn't want to live without, which is good and bad. But so as we grow out of that, and as we take the technology that we spent a lot of money developing, and we see its application in new categories, it provides a huge opportunity for us to evolve how we talk about ourselves and how we look at ourselves and what purpose we have. It's not just about the little thing that slips in your pocket anymore. It's about enabling this digital transformation across all these different categories for products that are really important to people's lives, like automobiles.
Yeah. And just to add on to that, I think it's really interesting because I think consumers today don't realize the way that all of that technology in your pocket, right, and how that can transform into your vehicle and what your vehicle will help enable in your daily life, in your daily routine, and how you can leverage all of that data to do smarter marketing and reminders and notifications, whether it's, text notifications and app after you leave the vehicle while you're in your home, and Alexa ties in and all the things, right? All the things will start being connected, and how that can really enable just like a more stress-free, a more, planned, I will say, kind of day-to-day activity with your vehicle.
And I think it's exciting because now you're in the field of the Internet of Things, right?
Yeah.
So managing your home from a distance. And on the LinkedIn side, we're a social platform, a professional network. What we're seeing on the automotive segment is that there's a lot of excitement from customers. We've seen an increase of 928% in conversations on LinkedIn about electric vehicles. So we're seeing a shift in the industry around the fact that now with social media, consumers can engage directly with both of your brands. So I wanted to hear a bit more from you. How does it change or evolve your storytelling, knowing that now everybody can engage with your brand? directly?
Yeah, I'll take this one. Yeah, I think we do an awful lot in social media at Cadillac. We have a lot of audience insights. We have a lot of learnings about platform and best practices and behavior and creative and so on and so forth, right? So I think, social is becoming a very more important part of how we look at our storytelling, and really making sure that what we're running on TV is not the exact same cut down that you throw on social, right? Something that we're putting on TikTok or Snapchat is going to be very different than what you're going to see on Instagram or even Facebook. So I think it's important. I think as we continue to expand our relationships with influencers and different brands in partnership, whether that's clothing, apparel with, like we did something with Grayson, partnering brands together so that socially you all can support each other in really good partnership. That is, received by customers really well. And they feel there's a lot of connection and authenticity to what content we're putting out, given the relationships that we have.
Well, I think it also allows you to personalize more. Right. Knowing your audience and where they are and where they're hanging out, and deliver a more personalized experience for them. I think there's never been an opportunity, and I think Marcie would agree, for auto brands to have a stronger direct relationship with the owner and the driver, and not just have it be, brand, go to the dealer, buy from the dealer, which may or may not be an incredible experience. And then until your car breaks or you need service or something happens, that is the next touch point. That doesn't have to be the case anymore, right? With the connectivity and the technology that's being put into cars like the Lyriq and others, a ongoing customer relationship that Cadillac can now have with the driver and the owner has never been more opportunistic, and I think never been more pervasive than it is now, and will be in the future.
Yeah. And can you tell us a little bit more, because it's a big change for some of the customers, right? So customers can go to the dealership, can also go buy directly. How are you evolving your approach, right, to engage with your customers on a different omni-channel, if we could say?
Yeah, I think that's one of our primary goals for this year. Really is creating kind of a frictionless digital full omni-channel ecosystem, right? And it's about knowing and providing different levels of engagement for different users. So we might have someone that wants to do everything only online and not really engage with a dealer very much. You might have someone who wants to do nothing online and only talk to a dealer, right? And you're going to have everybody in between. And so as we're creating digital experiences and tools and e-commerce websites, it's going to be really important for us to allow that experience to have multiple exit points, right? And how do you ensure that you are allowing people to save their information so that, they don't have to go through whatever configuration process they just went through, and how do we remind them that, we're here to help them in this process, and really, be a partner in their shopping process and education. And it's not just about the sale, right? We want you to be well informed about the product, and we want you to feel like this is an exciting journey. And how do we help enable that in all the digital experiences that we're creating?
I think that's incredible. And something that's been impressive also to watch is how, through all this technological change, you've been able to have a strong brand and the identity. So a big question that we often hear is, how do brands and powerful brands, how do you ground yourself as you're going through transformation, and sometimes identity and transformation, or a technological transformation? How do you stay grounded and true to who you are while evolving with the industries that also are disrupting you a little bit?
We have been going through this, I'll say a journey of our own at Cadillac for the last, year or two, and really trying to, again, identify who are we, right? Like if Cadillac was eliminated from the world, what would we be losing at that moment? And after taking a look at it, everything that Cadillac stands for and our rich history and culture and innovation, we'd be missing a cultural American icon, right? And what the American dream stands for. And so I think it's really important that as we do this, we respect where we've been. You understand your audience insights, and we know we have a very entrepreneurial spirit in our buyer. So that hard work ethic, that American dream, that symbol of success is what Cadillac is here for. We truly do exist to champion big dreams and bold ambition. And so I think as we define that, then your creative executions and your messaging and your tone kind of all naturally fall into place because it is who you are.
Yeah.
And it's just really, putting some definition and guardrails around that so that you can be authentic to who you've been and not just say, oh, today we're going to be really hip and cool. Like everybody wants that, right? But you have to rightfully own that. And I think, as Cadillac has been a part of culture for years, whether it's, in music, lyrics, dropping Cadillac or Escalade, or, we've been a cultural icon for years with Marilyn Monroe and you name it, right?
Yeah.
I went to dinner last night at Carbone and there's a Cadillac on the menu. So, it's like you can't really get away from it. Everybody. Huh?
It wasn't a margarita.
No, it wasn't. No. So, it's important to really embrace that and then help people understand who you are today within that lens.
Can you give us examples of campaigns that you had to how do you challenge the status quo in your campaigns while still being Cadillac, the new Cadillac?
Yeah, it's quite a daunting process. And I know Emily in our, from Leo Burnett, our agency partner, she can attest to this, but it's important to get it right. We, with some of our new lyric work, we have our red and gold campaigns that are on TV right now, super energetic. We've got Labyrinth as kind of the lead talent. It's been a really important part of our mission is to, how do you represent the brand with, very bold, optimistic imagery, but still having a certain level of sophistication, right? You can't be one without the combination of the others. If you're only bold, you could get that wrong. If you're only optimistic, then, you're missing out on some of the sophistication that comes with that. So it's really, again, defining it. And as you're looking at the creative, don't just say you like it. And I think you have to be honest with yourself as a team and say, is this the right? Are we nailing it? And if it's not, it's okay to say, then let's just wait. I know this year in particular, our new lyric work that we did, we love it. We love it. But it took us 2 months longer than we expected to nail it. And that was okay. So in the meantime, we were able to very quickly pivot and we created some other very beautiful work that we had for lyric from social assets. And so I think being okay in that not everything is going to perfectly lay out in a timeline and being okay to say, let's just quickly pivot and try something new. I think it's in the end, it's all kind of still fall under the same umbrella of what we stand for and who we are and that new visual identity that we're really tracking towards. And we're seeing really great success. So, I can't tell you how many people have said, oh my God, I love that gold commercial, that guitar. Or, they see something online and they're like, oh my gosh, the outfit that girl had on in your commercial. Like, where did you get that? And it's fun because people are noticing. Yeah, they're noticing. It's not just a car driving down a pretty road, right? Like there's excitement and there's energy and there's this exuberance that's just coming through the brand. And it really does represent our product line and where we're heading as a brand. We couldn't internally be more excited about the path forward and everything that's coming.
Yeah.
We're kind of our own brand evolution story as well, separately. And then, of course, the integration between the two and how we're helping each other. But Snapdragon historically has been, a brand that's been associated with the smartphone and mobile, and putting, your digital life in your pocket and enabling that all to happen and take amazing photographs from your phone and listen to amazing music, right? And play amazing games. And that's where we started, and that's the core DNA of the brand and of the product. But as we continue to diversify outside of the phone, we realized we had to find a different way to express what Snapdragon is. And it's not easy because it's a very complex technological product. It's a tiny chip that fits on your pinky, but it does so much. And so how do you express that? And you can't do that in 15 seconds, right? Or 30 seconds even, or even a 4-minute short film. There's a lot going on that little chip. So how do we do that? And so we had to start thinking about more broadly, how do we express Snapdragon to get people to at least say, what the F is Snapdragon, right? And I want to know more, because you can't go into a store and buy one. So my unique challenge is I have a product that you cannot buy off a shelf that powers experiences within other great branded products like Louis Vuitton, like Cadillac, like Samsung, etc. So how do I build brand in the context of that? So we've been on our own journey, and we've just actually evolved our brand positioning and redefined purpose and redefined how we're going to express it. And to broaden that context, we came up with this idea of Snapdragon basically gives you the power to move. And that
I
kind
love
of
that.
kind of basically is an ode to our mobility history and DNA, but it's broad enough you can put it in context of, well, what moves you? Cars move you, right? And it's also emotional. So we also wanted to get less speeds and feeds and less specs and get more emotion and more feeling into it. So that's how we sort of went on this journey. Like Marcie just explained with Cadillac, you have to be true to yourself, but you have to evolve and you have to provide context. And then as your audience expands, because you're now moving into different categories and you're transforming, you have to bring all those data points in to influence the work and where you land. It did take us about a year to get to the power of the move. Really excited about it. If you've seen the outside of the Marriott, across from the convention center, you'll see one of the first public manifestations creatively of the power to move, which is on the side of the Marriott, and we're really excited about it. So that's sort of the journey that we've been on. I have a few other challenges, as I mentioned, because I'm not an actual product that you can buy, but it's been exciting and been fun.
But what a huge impact that little tiny product has on a very large, like several very large technology industries, right?
The pandemic was horrible, don't get me wrong, but what it did for chips was amazing. Because everybody realized all of a sudden, oh my gosh, chips are important because I can't buy a car. Why? No chips, right? I can't get this. Why? No chips. So if the supply chain shortage did nothing else for us positively, it made people realize chips are important.
It was a brilliant campaign.
It was a brilliant campaign. I thought of it myself. Let's just roll out a global pandemic, and then people will know who we are and what we do. No, it is amazing that people, if you put it in that context, if you look across your home or your home office or any environment, how many devices are becoming smart and connected, and it's all because of these chips and the technology that's layered onto these. So it's a springboard into the future for us, but. It's been a fun journey.
And I love how both of you were very intentional about the transformation and telling a message that's simple, but also powerful that can resonate with everyone, people here and online. I think the next question I want to talk a bit more about is brand, right? At LinkedIn, what we did is we did a survey with 500 marketers, and we asked them, how important is brand, right, in your marketing mix? And 89% said it's very important to drive short-term results, and 90% said it's very important to drive long-term results. But then when we asked them to rank brand on their budget, it came at number 20. So how are you thinking as we're going into 2023 of how you're involving in planning your brand budgets for the year?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because for Cadillac, we've been, I would say, kind of on brand, right, for 2 years. We're talking about a product that you can't actually go to the dealership and test drive and buy quite yet. It's really close. It's coming. They're starting to be delivered now. But for 2 years, we've been talking about this car, getting people excited about it. And what we're doing at its best is branding, right? We're telling you who we are, what we're offering. We're showing you what we're capable of. And we know that automotive shoppers don't just shop, the week before and go make a purchase. So it does take a little bit of time to really get on someone's consideration list and make sure that, if it was a dating process, right, that we can continue that conversation before we ask you to marry us. And so we've been courting people for the last 2 years, and the demand on Lyric couldn't be stronger. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And what that has done, which is, just something that we're noticing, is it's got this halo effect on all of our other products. So if you are a consumer that's in market, but Lyric's not available quite yet for you, we are seeing people buy an XT6. We are people seeing, they're anxious to get an Escalade. They're like, oh, I'll drive an Escalade until I can get a Lyric, or whatever that looks like. And so there is a little bit of a halo effect that happens with branding. And if your storytelling is really resonating with your audience and you're getting them excited and you're building that desire to be dateable, if you will, right? Then when the products are there, then you'll be able to jump in. So
it's interesting because at LinkedIn we have a rule that's called the 95-5 rule. Mm-hmm. You want to market all of the different customers while they're not thinking about your brand. Because when the moment comes, especially for a big purchase, right? It's in the 5% arrives, then they say, yeah, I've been thinking about Cadillac. And now they're ready to move, but you can't go, as you said, and just come in and hope that somebody's going to marry you on the first date.
Yeah.
And I think both of us, and maybe in similar but different ways, we're in kind of brand building mode.
Yeah.
Because Cadillac has a lot of new to say and talk about with Be Iconic and the products and how they've evolved. And I'm now building Snapdragon outside of the smartphone industry. So we're both in building. So I think if you asked us that survey, if it was a survey of 2, I think brand would be a little higher on the list because we're in building. But there's a lot of brands that aren't in building mode.
Yeah.
Right? They're saturated from a top of the funnel perspective, and it's really all about performance. And it's about grinding performance. And totally understand that, right? It depends on where you are in your evolution, right? And what are the business objectives that you're trying to achieve. And then that will, I think, elevate brand up or push it down the list. It's obviously the most expensive part of the marketing mix. And in some cases, it's the least scientific. So when you're having conversations with your CFOs, right, it's often the hardest to justify. And because that ROI doesn't seem as tangible in the short term.
Yeah.
It's measurable, obviously, over the long term, and you can connect those dots. And we have lots of wonderful measurement tools, thanks to our software partners, to be able to do that now that we didn't have in the past. But I think it really depends on where you are. So, if you're a saturated brand and you've got all the awareness that you need out there, because there is a lot of diminishing returns, maybe you throw it all down to the bottom of the funnel.
And that's the quintessential question, right? So we are hearing that right now we're in the business cycle that's a bit challenging for some brands and for many brands, actually. And what we're seeing is that some advertisers are pulling back on their marketing investment. And at LinkedIn, what we did a quick study with Peterfield. And what we discovered is that brands, during the 2008 downturn, when brands increased their marketing investment, they were able to grow 4.5x faster, right? In terms of long-term profitability, but also share of voice. Now, how are you thinking about your investment in, what are the different guiding principles as you're thinking about this current downturn and how you're going to invest?
So we're okay. I mean, we've been here before COVID happened, and we actually looked at very similar research and saw that when you completely step back from marketing, it's a lot harder to get back into it and really get to the same levels you were at before you shut it down. Early COVID, we, shifted funds, right? We reduced spend, but we never completely backed out. Saw really great momentum that was consistent as everybody started coming back because we were kind of always there. So as we get into 23 and looking at, a potential recession and what that means, I think, my manager, she's her motto right now is that scarcity breeds innovation, right? Popular phrase you'll probably hear this week. And so I think, as we go into 23, it's taking the learnings that we have, taking the tactics we know that work, taking the data we have of our consumers, and just getting really focused and trying to figure out how do you make the biggest impact with potentially maybe less than you had before. So it's gonna, I think, be a really exciting challenge with some regards, because I think it will force us to get creative. It will push us to really leverage the partnerships we have and, really be smart about the data and the learnings that we've been capturing. Like, the reason you have those is to leverage them. And so I think 23 will be okay. We've got great momentum. We're not backing down. We might slow up, but it's still going to be a strong voice, and we'll be here for all of our customers that are shopping. So
what about you, Don?
Yeah, I think I would echo what Marcie said. I mean, it's about focus. It really is. And you may change the mix a little bit, or you may look at your business objectives for 23 in the context of how they're different than 22. And you say, okay, well, I've got to change the way we look at how we market and where we market and how much we spend here versus there. And we have to get creative. My team will kid me because my word for the year for my team has been leverage. Leverage the crap out of everything. Look at everything that we're doing and saying, does this stop here, or can we stretch this someplace else? Yeah. And so really it's about taking every dollar and making it worth 10, and really taking the resources you have. The exciting thing is there's never been more tools available to marketers, digital tools, et cetera, to be able to optimize and refocus your resources. And so if you take advantage of those tools, I think that you can refocus and you can still invest. But invest where it's important. Where are you going to see that growth on the other side of the slowdown coming from, and place those bets, right? And then maybe in things that are lagging or things that your business is putting the brakes on, maybe you don't go invest there for now. And so it really is about focused and kind of moving that needle and that mix around. But we're good too.
Yeah.
So
I love it. So I'm hearing
Figure it out.
recalibrating for the biggest impact. So thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge. I'm hoping we can get we can take one question from the audience. We might be out of time. Yes, hello.
yeah, you were first up. First to raise.
Okay.
How loud are you?
Right. I'm sorry. Brian Chapp, Tech Recipes. I wrote a couple things down here in regards to digital transformation and Internet of Things. This is more in regards to like operating models. So traditional marketing would be more of a verticalized approach. But when you're moving into a digital transformation journey, you have to gain stakeholder alignment and boost collaboration in order to deliver on that. I was wondering if you had any best practices that you've seen work well within your organization.
We have, yeah. I mean, as you know, GM's very large, right? We have many brands. We have many central teams. We are implementing new processes just to ensure that the communication stream between brand and central, or our digital execution team and brands, like that open communication is happening, because there are a lot of nuances that people are working on that as a large organization, it's really hard to wrap your hands around every project. So I think, we're really refocused on just the way you help share what's happening internally to ensure that you can connect all those dots when appropriate.
Yeah, I think a couple things that we're doing is if I sort of rolled out our manifesto for 2023 is for my team is bring your business partners in early. They hate to be brought in at the end.
Yeah.
So whether it's finance or legal or whoever it is, whatever the stakeholders are that make this thing complete and allow you to do what you need to do as a marketing organization, bring them in early. People like to be part of the process. So that would be one thing. The second thing I think is just with the access to real-time data, you have to be able to move faster, right? You have to be able to iterate. You have to be able to shift and refresh or change or alter. And it's not about waiting till the campaign goes to the end of its flight and then looking backwards and retrospective and saying what worked and what didn't work. You have access to know what's working, what's not working, and you have the ability to pivot. And you have to breed that behavior and that discipline into your teams so that people aren't just sitting back and waiting, but they're actually actively participating in the success of a campaign over time and not doing a retrospective after it's all over.
So this is what I'm hearing. Education, part of that, the way we coin it is like digital fundamentals, right? Like how do you speak the same language across all different departments so you can boost agility, buzzword, right? But then start moving into advancement prior to maturity.
I think honestly, it's like an overshare.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can't make assumptions that every department understands your business, or more importantly, understands the why behind your ask, right? So share your insights, share your data, share your failures, where you've been and what's working and what's not, so that it almost helps build credibility within whatever you're proposing your solution could be, because you have looked at the good and the bad.
And minimize the marketing speak.
Yeah.
Right? We have our own language. I get
It's
it.
simple.
But the rest of the organization doesn't speak our language, especially finance. So limit the marketing speak. Speak in terms of things they understand, right? It's never been more important for the C-suite to be completely connected, right? CEO, CFO, CMO, right? And there's a lot of disconnect going on. And if we don't speak the same language or language they can understand, it's going to make it worse. So limit the marketing speak. Speak in terms they can understand. Overshare, as Marcie said. And I think you'll be setting yourself up for success in a much better way.
It's amazing. Do you have time for another question? No? Okay, well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.